How do you actually grow an online coaching business? You see all of these YouTube videos and posts about people having mega successful businesses, but when it comes to it, digging into where do you start and how do you actually make it work is not talked about a lot. And if you've started a coaching business, maybe you've come out of corporate, you've got a few clients from maybe your existing contacts, and now you're thinking, actually, this network isn't big enough to sustain my business. It can leave you a little daunted about what do you have to do? Do I do funnels? Do I do ads? Do I get a setter? All of this stuff floods your feed and you've got ads telling you you're doing this wrong, that wrong, the other. But it kind of misses the point of what are the critical elements to making any marketing of a coaching business work. And there are four things. I'm going to explain these four things as simply as I can in this video. Number one, you have to pick a problem to solve. If you think about it, whatever coaching area you're in, executive coaching, career coaching, mindset, imposter syndrome, whatever you want to call it, whatever kind of coach you are, there's probably another 10,000 people doing it. And so you just saying, I'm this kind of coach will not help you. You've got to pick a problem to solve. You've got to pick a corner of the internet that you're going to dominate. And I'll give you an example of this from Red Bull. It's one of my favorite examples. Red Bull is one of the only brands that's successfully gone up against Coca-Cola and won. Richard Branson tried and got run over by Coca-Cola. He could not do it. What Red Bull decided to do is actually not try and take on Coca-Cola directly that dominates the market. They decided they were going to corner a very tiny subsection of the market, which is the extreme sports. And they became synonymous with that market. And that market does particular activities and really kind of owned that space. And as they became successful in that space, expanded out. Now, for you as a coach, picking a problem creates this tension with you of going, yeah, but I don't want to do just one problem. Well, if you're starting out building your coaching business outside of your network, you've got to. There is no choice. If you don't, you will make it harder for yourself to get remembered and harder to create demand. So by not defining the problem you're going to solve for people, you are choosing to make it harder to grow your coaching business. You are making a proactive choice to make it more difficult. So you pick a problem to solve. And let me just deal with one big issue that comes up here a lot with coaching. When you're trained as a coach, you are told, you as a coach do not solve problems. That's only half true. In the sense of the coaching model, it's 100% that you help the client solve their problems. You're the facilitator, the guide. But when it comes to people commercially buying your services, they are buying the end result that your coaching journey will help them gain. So it's semantics, but ultimately you are solving a problem. Commerce works on you solving a problem. So pick the problem. And you pick that problem and you build an offer around that. An offer is simply a package. It's something people can wrap their heads around and understand how it works. And that's tied to a problem and an outcome. If you just try and sell 12 sessions for $2,000 or whatever, that doesn't tie to any value. And so people have to work out for themselves whether that's valuable or not. And that means they will lose interest because you're asking them to do some mental arithmetic about whether your service is valuable or not. So an offer is simply tying your coaching package, your coaching sessions to a problem and an outcome and a process of how you'll guide that person to that result. That's simple. You need a problem to solve and you need an offer to solve it. Dead simple. Simple to do, but not simple to reconcile in your head because you will fight yourself to try and appeal to many, many people, many, many problems. The second thing is you need an audience for that. And so you want to pick an audience that values that problem. The stakes are high, you enjoy working with, and importantly, you can find them. So a lot of coaches hang out on Facebook, and I personally don't think Facebook is the best place, and I'll tell you why. It is very difficult to find your target audience, and it's very difficult to find them in repeatable quantity. And I don't mean volumes here, thousands. I mean, it's hard to find them. So platforms like Instagram and Facebook make it very difficult for you to actually map out and find those people. And also, there's some etiquette on Facebook about friend requesting people that on LinkedIn does not apply. So you want to get those people in your world, whether they're Facebook friends or LinkedIn connections, because you want them to be able to see what you're doing and see what you're up to. Not to pitch them, but to have them in your world. Next, you need a message. You've got an offer, you've got a problem, you've got an outcome, you've got an audience. You need to build a message that resonates. If you don't want to spend a lot of time building the coaching business, you want to be doing the coaching work, you need to have a message that resonates. That means you can convert more of less people. So the fact that we've got that offer, that problem, that outcome, and that audience is all defined and focused, allows us to build a message that can resonate. So people can see, oh my God, it's like you're talking to me. Oh my God, I understand why this is happening now, and you've opened my eyes to it. You can't do that talking to everybody, because you end up talking in big, broad, fluffy concepts that nobody sees themselves in. And you start saying phrases like stuck or feeling seen or presence that mean nothing to nobody. Whereas when you've picked that audience, you can build a message which actually speaks to their specific service when they feel like the board is putting them under pressure and they feel like they may not be cut out to be reporting to the CEO, or they've been offered a managing director role and they're starting to doubt themselves. You can start to get really specific in your message and people go, oh my God, it's like you're talking to me. And that drives action, that drives trust, that drives motivation. And then the fourth thing you need is actually a system. If you want getting clients and building your online coaching business to be successful, you have to have a system that works to acquire clients. And there's 4 parts to this system. There's getting the leads, getting the calls, proposing your offer, and actually closing the deal. Now, those 4 things need a system. If there is no system, you'll make it up as you go along. You'll wing it and you'll not know where your points of failure are, what needs improving, what's working. You will never know. So you need a system. Mine's called LAPD, Leads, Appointments, Proposals, Deals. And you have to have a way of moving people successfully through those processes. I'll give you an example. Many coaches struggle to capture leads. We'll look at that one in a second. But I'll give you the other one, the appointments. You get a lead, getting them to a call. What often happens is a coach will say, if you want to talk, let's have a call. That leaves all of the effort in the prospect's camp. And guess what? They don't take action. And so often what happens is, because you don't have a process to navigate people through that journey, you do wishy-washy things, no offense, that actually undermine and cause those leads to lose interest. You kill them, basically. So there needs to be a process. Now, let me tell you about one of my clients, because this is a simple process you can do to get leads. Ultimately, coaching is about trust. It's about somebody not just going, oh, I see your offer's cool. I see you've got an ICF qualification. That's all nice to have. But ultimately, it comes down to, can I buy into you? Because it's not just about a package. They're letting somebody into their life. They're letting you into their life and into their business, and they're going to be vulnerable with you. And so this trust, not only in you, but who you are, what you're like, getting to know you becomes very, very important. And people forget this, and people lose sight of this, and often slip into very transactional approaches to selling coaching, which, I've seen people pitching coaching, and it's like, you're missing what coaching's about. So here's what my client did. And I've taught loads of clients to do this since. It's a little weird. It's a little uncomfortable, but it's the fastest and most effective way for you to build deep trust with a wider audience who don't know you right now. So let's say you're on LinkedIn, you've got your offer out, you've got your profile, you're growing your network with the right people, which is perfectly acceptable on LinkedIn. And now you're going, what do I do? Here's what you do. Start sharing short little videos, no sexy edits, no overproduced, just you sharing thoughts totally relevant to that audience, totally relevant. You don't need to kind of rehearse it, just throw it out there. You'll see I do this all the time. And then they get to know you, and that's what you really want. They want to know your style, your personality, how you think. All of that authentic stuff can come out. Obviously have a little plan, but don't end up in PowerPoint presentations or weird stuff. Just have a conversation with the camera lens. Share those little videos a couple of times a week. And then once a month, hold a live. Invite those people in your network to come and hold a live and talk about one big challenge they face. And real time, talk about how you'd solve it, how you'd approach it. like you're coaching a mass audience. Yeah. Don't do, the full blown thing. Just do a little thing. And one of my clients, they were looking for pro bono work to kind of get their coaching juices going. And I said, look, do this, literally do this. Guess what? They actually sold a client in their first month when they were looking for pro bono, because people can invest in you because you're investing in them. And I know in the age of going viral and putting out all this sexy content and gathering followers, this sounds like a totally different approach, but it's more real, it's more human. And if you want people to buy into you, you need to be out there. And you don't need to be slick. You can just come on, share your ideas, and go off. That client of mine, since then, I put 400 people through that process as a means to get clients. And the reason why it works is because it's connection based rather than slick, clever marketing, funnel, ad based. Every one of you watching me can, in the next 30, 45 days, get 150 people into your world hearing from you and actually have 100 people, 150 people paying attention to you on live. Everybody can do it on LinkedIn, but you need that offer, that audience, and that message so that you can do the system. So that's how I grow a coaching business from scratch. That's how I'd grow a coaching business if I was reliant on referrals. And I encourage you, give it a try, because this is a more authentic way to build a better, more predictable business.